With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going ahead to our next star speaker. A Padma Shri awardee, a globally recognized leader in industry academia collaboration, R&D, and innovation. With over 4 decades of transformative contributions, he's somebody who's nurtured entrepreneurship, incubating more than 350 companies at the IIT Madras Incubation Cell and the Rural Technology and Business Incubator. He's somebody who's been instrumental in conceptualizing and establishing the IIT Madras Research Park. Let's warmly invite Institute Professor, IIT Madras, Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope the presentation can be put quickly. I'm going to take you back, making technology work for India. I'm going to start with, since it's a pan-IIT meeting, I'm going to start with IITs. I'm going to start with the fact, in 1947, what happened? When India became independent, we are technologically in a fairly poor situation. And to overcome this, the 5 IITs were created. The basic thing about the IITs that were created was that they will be building the industrial, scientific, and technological edifice of the nation. They will be fully autonomous institutes. They will be supported fully by the government. They will be, quality will be the only benchmark. And what did IIT do? If you look by 1970s, IITs were producing the best bachelor student in the world. Our students went all over the world and they made a mark. By 80s, what people may not know as much, we were starting to produce extremely good master students. And our master students went and created industry throughout the country. In fact, the IT industry, they played a major role. The leaders, see, you go to even a smallest industry and you'll find a CXO is from one of the IITs. By 1990s, we are creating PhDs. And that was producing now faculty for large number of institutes. In 80s, we were graduating only 20,000 engineering students a year. By 1990s, we were graduating 1 million students, and many of the IIT PhDs were going there. And this million young graduates that were coming up from all over the country were really starting to transform India. But remember that while all this was going on, we're still not cornerstone in building the scientific, industrial, and technological edifice of the nation, because we are still importing everything. At best, adopting technologies coming from outside. By the turn of the millennium, IIT started thinking differently. That we need better industry-academia collaboration. Yes, we have produced our undergraduate students, master students, and PhD students. Now we need to impact industry and startup. And it is in this context that some of us had started this IIT Madras Research Park, understanding that the innovation thrives when the faculty, the youngsters, and the industry come together. And this is what we actually did. And at the same time, we created our incubation cell, recognizing that many of the industry in India are risk averse, and therefore you need startups which work 18 hours a day. And we created this incubation cell. And what did we do? Both these IITM, RP, and IC started as with some seed funds. For example, IIT Madras RP Research Park borrowed 300 crore rupees from the bank, and it took almost 10 years to pay back the money with the interest, and today generates 70 crore cash profit. IITM IC started even with less money, few crores. We have 350 startup by June, valued at 50,000 crore rupees. Many of the companies that we have invested close to 10,000 rupees, and we have got returns of 10 crores. what were the lessons from IITM Research Park and Incubation Cell? I'm pointing this out because going forward we'll need this. Both were governed by independent board. We neither had interference from the government nor from IIT Madras. I think that's a critical part, that when you create something independent, it flourishes. But remember that even while we have achieved all this, the original mission to create scientific and technological edifice of the nation is still not done. We are still importing and everything. IIT's research park need to do much more. And it is in this context, some of the people in NASSCOM got together and we created this Immersive Technology and Entrepreneurship Limited. Objective is to take India to leadership position in at least 10 areas in 10 years. Design, develop, own technology and manufacture. Not just bring everything from outside and manufacture them, just assemble them. This is what has been going on. Made in India program has to go far more and has to make an impact. This is what we are trying to do. Remember that India has large number of scientists. Some 60, 70,000 scientists in IITs, in triple IITs, ISCs, CSIR labs, various other government labs. But what happens? We publish paper, our publications have been going up. We are also filing patent, but the commercialization is still weak. Many industries have reasonable R&D, but most of them are adapting technology that is coming from outside the country. We of course have startups, and if they are nurtured, they can make a huge difference. And what we need India is to leverage all these three: scientists, startups, and academia, and bring industry together and really make a difference. And this is what the organization ITEL is trying to do. We recognize that startups have made a huge difference in the country in the last 15 years. In fact, transformative role that we have played. For example, fairly soon that we started, we found one person, a graduate from IIT Kanpur, did bachelor's and master's, went to join an industry and Jaguar, and soon in 4 or 5 years became the leader of vehicles, and then came back to IIT Kanpur and started this company, Terra Robotics, and said that we have to make India a leader in robotic technology. They are these youngsters which are determined to do that and will make a difference. I'll move away from IIT to another one. This time to a company called Trishul Space. This is founded by a person, Divyam Kashyap from Muzaffarnagar and Aditya Singh from Prayagraj. They had gone to Chandigarh University, where they said the only thing that was used to go on is writing exam. So what did they do? They decided that some 7, 8 of them got together and they said they want to work on space. They fortunately found an NPTEL course, NPTEL courses that are being done in all subjects by all IITs. They started with that. They found a retired ISRO scientist to mentor them, and they initially made 500 Newton engine. They were successful, rocket engines. Then they started trying to make 5,000 Newton engine. They failed 13 times. Anybody would have given up. They did not. They finally succeeded, and today they have created a startup. We're saying we'll get to 25,000 Newtons and we will become the world leader, make the lowest cost rocket engine in the world. And remember, these are not people who are coming from IIT, but they have been taught by people from IIT. There is another company, L Diffusion, a person coming from an unknown college. Fortunately, he had a teacher who had done his PhD in chemistry at IIT Madras. And he taught him everything about diffusion, coatings and diffusion for wear, oxidation, and corrosion. Unfortunately, that professor passed away. He started a company, but that professor passed away in COVID. He started a company and started meeting this. There was no takers. No takers in India. Nobody believed that he could make something very good. He had all the test results. Then he went to Dubai and Middle East. And there, he found all the oil companies lapping him up and started creating. And now everybody wants to invest in this company and wants to take this forward because he's making some of the best coatings in the world. Yet another company, again from a very small college, unknown college, they also got very inspired that they will work on satellites, not rocket, but satellite transport. Unfortunately, they felt that they did not learn enough in undergraduate. They didn't get admission in masters in IITs. They went to MIT Crumpet and did their MTech in Aero. And then they interned in companies like Agnikul, in ISRO, and said that we will make a green propellant for 100 Newton. Today, all the satellite propellants are extremely toxic. And they said they will make the green propellant, and they have succeeded in doing this. Yet another company, this is a person came from a small college in West Bengal, went and joined Microsoft. In 4 years, he made such a mark that he was considered the best software developer at Microsoft. But he was not satisfied. He left that and joined IIT Bombay MTech, learning on speech technologies. And then he came out and started developing the technology in all Indian languages. He says that I'm going to make the Indian language conversation very much possible, but with a difference. Not with so many GPUs burning more and more power sitting in the back end to do that. I will do, by and large, 90% of the work on the handset. This is what he has been able to do, and he is now doing this. The point that I'm making, that entrepreneurs are highly successful in India today and are starting to create some groundbreaking technologies. And these entrepreneurs come from all over India, from small colleges, large colleges, IITs. In contrast, if you see all of us scientists, whether we are in IITs, IISER, IIIT, we have done, but not as much. Why? And I think this is a very, very important, I wish Abhay Karandikar was here. The entrepreneurs either win or die. They are very clear. They work 16 hours a day. You don't get criticism when they work on 16 hours a day. No, they know that they have to make impossible possible. They are risk takers. Would fail, but get up again. Will fall and get up again. They are not funded by the government. They are funded by venture capitalists who are themselves risk takers. And they have the full freedom. They don't have to define what they have to do exactly. They continuously change based on the result. On the other hand, the government-funded research, every aspect has to be defined in a proposal 3 years before the proposal is submitted. It has to be risk-averse because you will be measured on every count. Anything that you fail, you will be considered a big failure. Budgets are cast in stone. Even 2 years later, after I get the project, what I am going to purchase has to define, even the quotations has to be submitted. And then, as our Prime Minister once mentioned when we brought it up, that the pai ka hisab mangte hain. This is not science and technology. You cannot take up impossible, and because you have to be allowed to fail to be able to become successful. So there is a very big difference between what entrepreneurs do and what the government-funded science come. Very tight oversight by government as well as the institutes. Government have very tight oversight. The institutes go one step further, and they ostracize the scientists for every failure. So what does the scientist do? They don't take risk. They try to do minimal. This is one of the biggest problems, and we need to change that. What we need is a very different approach to science. We need a directed research to commercialization, a lead technologist, and a person who understands finance coming together, assemble 7 to 8 scientists around the country from different places and get 10, 15 startups and say, in this area, we want to become the world leader. We also need to, it's very difficult to, when we invest $5 billion in AI, US will invest $500 billion. How are we going to compete? So we have to focus on large Indian problems and solve them in a unique manner. Use this to address similar problems around the world and become the leader in the global stage. I'll take some examples. For example, today in Chennai or in Pune or in Bombay or in Bangalore, to travel home to office, it is taking an hour, 15 minutes. Only 15 kilometers. Two-way travel, 2.5 hours. Is that the future of the India? Or similarly, what we really need is a system which can enable us to travel in 20 minutes. 20 minutes must be green, must be energy efficient, must be able to handle peak traffic, and buildable in existing cities. This is the challenge. Can we take up this challenge and solve this problem? Similar problem. Goods transport across the country from Chennai to Chandigarh takes now 5 days. And highly polluting. As India's GDP grows, our demand for transport like this will go up by 8 times. How are you going to build more and more roads? No, we need a very different kind of solution which can take things in 24 hours. Again, extremely energy efficient and using only green energy. Is something like this possible? One will say impossible, one will give up. There are no solutions like this. And this is exactly where we need to come up with something. And there are youngsters who are now working with sciences and technologies. And for example, working with, for the first problem, pod systems which are going to be able to get you in a guaranteed manner 15 kilometers in a city in 20 minutes. This is the kind of thing that India requires. Another problem of India, low-income households are very low income. And what do they do? When they need to even do a minimal business, they often borrow at 36 to 60%. There is microfinance which gives them a loan around 26%. Why 26%? Because they themselves borrow money at around 12%. And then they assessing risk and operations for 30,000, 50,000 rupees loan. Multiple times they have to visit, and that costs a lot. And as a result, most of them land up into debt trap. What is the answer? The answer is, with using AI, a digital human on WhatsApp, meeting the woman at her home, talking to her, figuring out the kind of work that they will do for the loan and the risk assessment, and bring down the cost of risk from 13% to 3%. Overall, make the money available at 15%. This is the kind of challenge that we really need to take. AI has to be used in a very different manner in all Indian languages, and this is the kind of thing that we are doing. Our climate change is looming on us. Our cities, earlier, there used to be a flood in Chennai, heavy flood in Chennai once in 5 years. In last few years, started once in 2 years, or once every year. Now, twice a year. And this is happening everywhere. Can we take this problem that we will, in urban areas, we will figure out a way to not have floods, even with increasing rain? This is the kind of problem. I know, for example, IIT Gandhinagar, a young professor is trying to work on problem like this. We need to join people like that to solve problem like this. Heating and cooling consumes almost 50% of world's energy. Today, we use our thermal flask. We put 1 unit of electricity, get 0.9 units of heat or 0.8 units of heat. But we, as engineering students, as IITian or other, we know that there is something called Carnot engine, which can, with 1 unit of electricity, can produce 4 units of heat and 4 units of cooling. Can we come up with an innovative solution which can really be extremely cost effective and make it possible for us, for example, in a multi-storied building, have a cold water pipe and a hot water pipe, cold water pipe being used for freezer and air conditioner, hot water pipe for clothes drying, shower, washing machine, cooking, and make it less costly than using fossil fuel. Is this something that we can do in India? Certainly we can do it in India. I can go on. Can we take leadership in assistive technology? All kinds of things devices are required. Can we put 50,000 young engineers to work on problems like this? Only India can afford to do that. Only India has the capacity to do that. Well, I want to try to come to the end. Before my 20 minutes, IITs have made great contribution to India. I outlined it in the morning. But the task is very much unfinished. Today, India has enough talented scientists, engineers, and youngsters raring to go. Not just in IITs, but all over. Indian industry needs to be nudged to work on this. And we need to make India technology leader. To the IITians, what I am requesting you, help us do that. I'm very clear that this we need to do 8 to 10 years. We will bring scientists in all IITs, ICERs, NICERs, ISC, Triple IIT, CSIR labs in all labs. We'll bring thousands of startups to work, youngsters to start. We'll do this. We need your help. We need your help. Maybe take up an area where you have expertise and help that group. Or maybe find startups which can do this. Find the right scientists which can do this. Or even help us financially in getting us there. We are very determined to go do this, because this was the original aim with which IITs were created, and this is what IITs must do. Thank you very much.